as mobile gas stations for the big container ships and whatnot around us. But you can't have a busy harbor without those cranes I was talking about. So now's a great time to talk about those cranes a little bit. These are called superpost Panamax gantry cranes. And if you take a look up at the top of it, you'll see a terminal that says SSA terminals. And just below it, you'll see a little glass box, and that's where the crane operator operates from. It's a very desirable position, but very hard to get. In fact, you have to have literal luck on your side because you have to win a workplace lottery to even get a chance at an interview. Now, if you look down the waterway, you'll see some tugboat action going on. We got a couple of Crowley tugs that are hooking up to a container ship. They're getting ready to bring that boat off and send it on its way. Now, you'll notice how they're sideways. This is what's really interesting about these tractor tugs, is their propulsion system is what's known as cycloidal propulsion system. So what that means is there's this basically best described as 8 beaters that come down the middle. It gives them so much options and maneuverability and power that they're able to move just as efficiently side to side as they can forward and backward. Now we also got the Coast Guard base just off to the right with a couple interesting vessels there. That big red one is the number 20 Healy, which is an icebreaker. It spends most of its time in the Arctic doing research. In fact, just got back from a 4.5-month circumnavigation of the North American continent. And just besides that, we got some decommissioned Hamilton-class high-endurance cutters. So we going along the stadium district now. That one with the black roof is T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners. Now the Mariners do have a pretty interesting record. They've actually never lost a World Series game. That's because they've never been to the World Series. In fact, they do have the longest playoff drought in American sports, which is heartbreaking, especially since they almost got to the playoffs last season. Didn't quite make it, but hopefully next season they will. They are nonetheless a great team to go see. I have so much fun going to their games. The best part is you won't ever get rained on because that black roof is a convertible. So if it starts raining, they just take a few minutes, close it, and the crowd stays nice and dry. Now there's an added benefit to that. It doesn't enclose the entire stadium. It acts as an umbrella. So even though the roof is closed, you still get this feeling of like you're still outside. Now the next stadium just to the left of that is Lumen Field with the white arches, home to the Seattle Seahawks, the Seattle Sounders, and our women's soccer team, the LL Reign. But what that stadium is also known for is man-made earthquakes. And of course, I'm talking about the Beastquake that happened on January 8th, 2011. That was when the Seattle Seahawks were playing the New Orleans Saints. And Marshawn Lynch broke several tackles to make an amazing 68-yard touchdown. And when that happened, the crowd went crazy. And it just so happened, coincidentally, that the University of Washington was doing seismic research on the nearby Alaskan Way Viaduct, which is no longer there in part due to that research, but their seismographs picked up a small 2.1 magnitude earthquake originating from Lumen Field. So now they actually have seismographs right there at the stadium as well. Now I saved the last skyscraper to talk about for my favorite one. It's going to be Smith Tower, which is that beige building with the beige pyramid on top. Stands at 432 feet, so not exactly super impressive in our skyline these days. However, when that building was built in 1914, not only was it the tallest building in Seattle, it was the tallest building west of the Mississippi. And it held that record until the 1930s, and it just became the tallest tower in Seattle. And it held that record until 1962 when the Space Needle was built. So if you take a look at our skyline, you'll see all these buildings that are bigger than both Smith Tower and Space Needle, which is a good number of shows how much the city has grown in the latter half of the 20th century. The Smith Tower Tower is a great place to go visit. They do have a museum on the first floor and a speakeasy style bar restaurant on the 35th floor, which is the base of that pyramid. Now, if you visit Smith Tower and love it so much you want to live there, that is a possibility because those 6 windows you see up in the pyramid is a single luxury apartment. But you might have to check your bank account because rent's about $15,000 a month. So pretty pricey. It's located in Pioneer Square, which is sort of the original downtown area of Seattle. And there's another really cool tour there called the Underground Tour, which is if you're interested in the Great Seattle Fire. Basically, when they rebuilt it, they just built a street over the old architecture. And so the tour takes you underground and you can see all sorts of this old architecture style of Seattle. And of course, we are passing Coleman Docks right over here at the Green Ridge. That's the home port of the Washington State Ferries, which means we are almost back to Pier 55, which means our tour is coming to an end. And not only am I the tour guide, I'm also the deckhand, so I do have to dive the boat. You guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you down at the boarding gate.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think I round of applause for fantastic work on the microphone as he makes it look easy. I don't know if it was the super cool container ship, maybe it was the sunshine, maybe it's this, or the ferries, this container ship coming in. Lots of cool things to see today, but I would bet dollars to donuts you enjoyed the tour today, largely in part to Martin's contribution as your tour guide. And as he mentioned, he'll be down at the boarding platform, happy to answer any questions you have on your way out. And by all means, make sure and swing by and let him know he did fantastic work for you. I'm going to put the mic down, get us into the slip here. I'll pick it back up in a minute. Let you know it's a good time to head down to the boarding platform.